Hey guys, just back here to flesh out a little bit more of the beginner guide. I've had some questions come in through YouTube as well as the Discord channel, and I believe some in-game as well. Now with that being said, I'm going to kind of get straight into it. So what we're going to be talking about is the events up here on the top left, that main event screen, or themed events. So I'm starting with this because this was the first question that I was asked to specifically do a video on. And let's get right into it. So they're now called themed events. Previously, they were just kind of regular events that seemed to happen every once in a while and served kind of a large purpose. In this case, the events that I'm referring to that are regular events are now called themed events. They're going to be fishing, I presume, will be on the screen. I haven't actually seen it since this update as far as fishing goes. But we'll have the Dragon Trainer event, which is the eggs, which you have to match eggs in order to get a higher level dragon, with the ultimate goal being to attempt to get a title if you're still under second continent. If you're at second continent and you don't get title, no big deal. You can still manage just fine without it. But the main goal is to get the currency. In my opinion, the main goal is to get the currency so that you can then exchange for gold bottles while in that shop. Since right now we've got Beast Invasion going on, I can go ahead and use this one as an example, but it seems like Dragon Trainer and Beast Invasion happen once a month so far. The other events that will be excluded from that regular occurrence are going to be your holiday events, like the Valentine's Day event, New Year's event, Chinese New Year event, things like that. Those are going to be obviously occurring around those holiday time frames and taking the place of, or sometimes including, these what seem to be monthly events. They may happen more or less frequently, so correct me if I'm wrong on that, but based on my experience, it seems to be once a month. We've got approximately a week or so of each event that comes out. So I'll start on Beast Invasion here. This one, it helps to have as many dragons as you can have, as many dragons as you can get, and leveling them up. Actually, I don't know that leveling them up actually helps all that much. It actually looks like it does make a difference when I'm going through them. I don't think rarity, because these two are the same rarity and they're different attacks. So I'm guessing level does affect it here. But what I do is I just hit auto battle and I watch them all go through it here. Okay, and as you can see, I got 28 of those little stones up there. So I'm going to go up and go to the Occult Cave. And apparently select extremely poorly. The goal here is just to try to get as many of those gold potions as possible. Oh, straight to the next floor on that one. Okay, cool, cool. Okay, it looks like that's all we're going to be able to do today. But it does look like there's a shop here, Vernal Shop. And that's where we can spend these dragon points. And what I recommend doing on each event is just all your excess points pour into gold bottles. In this particular instance, I don't see anything else that's completely worth the time and effort. You might save up for the dragonic gems to try to stack your dragons if you need more dragons. You know, if that's a concern for you, definitely focus on that. But I'm just going to go ahead and go with the bottles on this. And that's kind of the main goal to the themed events. And then obviously there's fishing. Every weekend I recommend getting as many as you can of the gold bottles from fishing as well. That definitely helps. You're always going to be hurting for gold, honestly. You're going to always be in need of it. That and... Where is it? Aha, okay. Oh, ether. I had forgotten that. I apologize. you're going to be in great need of ether as well as gold. And let's go on to the next question. So the next person actually asked me, the next question I got was, what is the best use for my diamonds? I'm thinking of investing it on gems, or is there anything that's much more worth spending it than for melding gems? So something I want to specify is you definitely want to make sure that you're only merging gems or melding gems that are level 4, as you can see down there towards the bottom, gem level 4 and higher. These 3s and then lower than that can be traded in for useful items, and I'll get into that now. So definitely make sure that you're spending your diamonds just on these. Whenever you get to Doom and you have level 1000 gear, obviously you can start spending it on recast and things like that. And then, you know, later on in Second Continent, you'll have more things to worry about when it comes to gems as well. So we'll go into Universal Shop down there at the bottom here. And as you can see, I do have some gems that I can go ahead and trade in here. So we're going to go ahead and trade those in for dust. And since I haven't been farming over the last day or two, looks like I'm not getting a whole lot. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, so then we go into Dust Exchange up there at the top. You see I have 27.19k. I'm going to go ahead and every day I buy 5 of these. That's the max that you can buy, which equals out to 7.5k gem dust. And then after I've bought it, usually I'll spend the rest on ether. So I'll get an extra 900 ether there as well. So make sure to keep in mind that when it comes to gems, don't combine or meld gems until you're doing level 4s. Make sure that you're trading in the 3s and lower for gem dust. The next question I had was Enhance Physique. Somebody wanted to know what to do with your Enhance Physique. And right here, this is a good question. So as you can see, I have 6.3 magic droplets, 6.3k magic droplets. And this is where the events up here are actually going to come into play. So I'm going to go ahead and just pick some easy ones to see if I can't get that traveling merchant to show up to actually demonstrate for you guys the purpose of the magic droplets. Boom, right there, right off the bat. So you're going to want to do those battle events up at the top. And she has a random chance to show up. Tap on her. This is Lim. Hit confirm. Recycle items. So what you're always going to want to do, tap that circle next to the magic droplets. And as you can see at the bottom, I'll be getting 2,500 union vouchers. Hit confirm. Confirm. And then I'll go over to exchange vouchers. As you can see, there's many different options that we have. We can get, you know, enough to max out Chivalrous Knight if you need to, just off of how many I have right now. Same with Frostplane Guard. Those are definitely required. And with this new update, Everwinter Sage might be required for some of you that are at the lower end if you're struggling with Debacle or something, because the previous guide that I provided for Debacle may not be as realistic now that they've added, they've made it more difficult to get to Merc timing. So it's not that it's more difficult, it's just that it's extra steps. Now you've got Partner, and then you've got to go to Merc. And by that time, you may have burned too many seconds based on the guide that I laid out for you guys. So I may have to adjust that guide, or I may go down the route of just recommending using Everwinter Sage on top of the other two and cycling those. Which, if that's something that you guys feel like you have concerns with, if the Debacle guide's not doing it for you guys and you need something new, or our new players need something different because that's not cutting it for you, then I'll definitely go into trying to find new ways to optimize doing Debacle as they continue to update the game. Keep in mind it is a relatively young game at this time, at least. I think maybe 6 or 7 months old. The game's only been out probably about that long, give or take. And that's what you're going to want to do with magic droplets. So the next up, we have someone asked me, they were level 1000, but they don't know what to do after hitting level 1000, which I did mention in the first video. That's the main goal. They're stuck at health 45. What do I do now? So I just want to make sure that if you're stuck at health 45, try adding gems, try upgrading your divine tree, which you can go to hero, divine tree, and And I recommend going full strength in Divine Tree and focus Light Ward up here at the top. Full strength, focus on strength and that Light Ward, and that'll help survival while you're working through the game early on. Also, whenever you have any stats that you get for your character, you're going to want to put them all right here into strength. All of them into strength until you reach second continent. And make sure you're using a dagger, not a sword. So as you can see, I'm using scythe, but that's a second continent thing. You don't want to use a scythe or a sword before Doom, and you preferably don't want to use a scythe during Doom. Sword in Doom, and then before that, you're going to want to use dagger. And just make sure that you're stacking strength as much as possible because it does add damage, but it also adds HP. And then if you're still struggling, try to switch out some gear with some gear that's got some better stats. Do try not to recast if at all possible. Maybe you can find some gear that is maybe a little bit worse than yours, but it adds extra HP percentage. That could benefit you more in the long run when trying to push up to that next difficulty, which after Hell would be Bane. Then lastly, the last question is, how did I get the 4,000 strength, or at this point I'm at 5,000 dexterity? And honestly, that's from obviously the Divine Tree here. I've got one almost maxed out, and then the other two maxed out. I have barely touched Mind. I went strength up until I reached Doom. Once I reached second continent, I maxed out dexterity as quick as possible, then back to strength, and now I'm working on vitality. But that's just while I don't have enough ether to level up my Cerberus gear or green gear. So there's that, as well as your Iron Awaken here. So as you can see, when you get these capstones, if you go all the way out and you unlock everything to the capstone, this increases damage. And here's the main point. When stat points earned from level up are distributed to dex, gain 100% additional dex. So from my 1,000 levels, each of those 1,000 points that I put into dex got doubled. So that's how I'm stacking these stats so high. But while you're first starting out, you definitely want to go for this right here. You're going to want to get Holy Fire Commander. You're going to want to push this. Your main things to go for first, I do believe I mentioned in the first beginner's guide. So this is just to wrap up a few questions and try to help everyone kind of understand the few additional questions that I've got here. I believe that wraps up the questions that I'm familiar with at the moment. Like I said, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask, and I'll throw some more out there. I'll make some more videos, or if you have questions about maybe Doom or questions about Continent 2, I'm definitely more than happy to share my experience with that content as well. Just feel free to give me a shout out. And thank you guys very much for watching. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys all have a good day.